Hey, thanks for checking out the Fat Guy Podcast. I am the resident fat guy. Most people call me Brett Mason, and I am glad that you joined me today. I'm a guy who was overweight my entire life. I started being overweight when I was as young as 6, and that just ballooned up to 407 pounds. In 2016, my doctor told me I was pre-diabetic, wanted to put me on metformin, told me my future included other drugs and insulin, and that this would just continue to get worse. I refused to buy into that. I didn't want to take medicine. I wanted to find out what would halt this progression to pre-diabetes to diabetes in its track. Since that day, I've lost a little over 100 pounds, completely reversed this issue of pre-diabetes, did it all without any kind of drugs, potions, pills, anything like that. At that time, my fasting blood sugar was in the 120 to 130 range. Now it ranges in the 80s to low 90s. I've spent hundreds of hours researching what makes us get fat, what causes us to have an obesity problem, what causes insulin resistance, what causes type 2 diabetes. And what I learned is you don't get fat because you're lazy. None of that happens because you're a fat slob. None of that happens because you're a glutton. It happens because of the food that our country has fed us, food that our government has approved as being healthy. Food that people are packing up in boxes and bags and cans and tins and sending out that's causing this. Now, to be clear, I'm not a doctor. I don't have formal medical training. Anything you hear in this podcast is my opinion, and it's only my opinion, and it's not intended to diagnose, prevent, treat, or cure any disease. You always want to consult with a medical professional about your weight loss. My only caveat to that is find a doctor that believes in the power of the ketogenic diet. All right, with that being said, ketogenic diet weight loss tips for beginners. Now, I have two different pieces of advice. I have the optimum piece of advice, which I would recommend for everyone. But then I have advice for you folks that just are resistant and hesitant. I'm going to say up front, I don't know you. I don't want to judge you. But if you're hesitant and resistant and need easy ways to slide into something, you're probably not going to be successful. I've found that most people that I have talked to or worked with or helped over the past 2 to 3 years, and there's been a lot of them, the ones that are hesitant or they want an easy way or a simple way or they want a way to cheat it or a way to do this, let me slide into it slowly, those people generally aren't successful. As a matter of fact, I can only think of one person that was. I actually helped her it's been almost 2 years ago. That was a long time ago. And she was like that. She wanted to know I want to try something for a week. And she said, then I'll add something to it the next week. And then I'll add to it the next week. And then I'll add to it the next week. And I was like, okay. Generally, I don't spend a lot of time with people like that because I know, like I said, she's the only one that it's ever been successful for. But she was. But for most people, it isn't. The reason is because you're not really ready. If you were ready, you would just jump into it. If you were really ready. See, half the battle losing the weight is being ready. And everybody has that thing in life that makes them ready. For me, it was walking with my mom around UAB, which is the University of Alabama Medical Center, as she's, trying to get tests done and prepare herself for a massive exploratory 7-hour surgery because she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. And she had been on a liquid juice diet where she was basically getting no calories every day for 3 weeks. And she was walking the pants off me. I couldn't keep up with her. And this is the woman I was supposed to help now. This is the woman who raised me and took care of me my whole life. This is the woman who was always there for me, and now it was my time to be there for her. And I needed to stop every 5 minutes and sit down. That was what told me I had to change. So everybody has their thing. But you need to know, you need to be ready. That's the thing, is you need to be ready. You can't be like, yeah, I'd probably need to lose 20 pounds or 30 pounds. Or, it's just got to be time. Only you know if it's time. Is it time? Has your doctor told you have pre-diabetes yet? Has your blood pressure gone through the roof and it's crazy to control and all these other issues? Is it time? Is it time? That's step one. Is it time? Is it time? Have you said, God, this is it. It's time. I'm just tired of this. I'm tired of this. I'm sick and disgusted of this. So for all you want to slide into it and take it easy, that advice is coming up. My first advice, though, is embrace it 100%. My first advice is you commit right now that you're going to increase your level of dietary fat from things like animal products and oil and butter, and that you're going to have a moderate amount of protein in your diet, and that you're going to keep your carbs, generally speaking, to 20 or less. And I would say for the first 2 weeks, that's a hard 20. Don't try this net carb stuff. You'll get online, you'll read about net carbs. Net carbs come down the road. You want to know when I started doing net carbs? And I've been doing this since January, and it's June now. Well, I'm coming up on, it's right at 6 months for me in just a few days. So I only just started net carbs about a month ago. So I basically went almost 5 months on hard, strict 20 carbs. I've only just went to net carbs recently. And trust me, that was hard to do. But boy, it really just blew through the weight loss. And it was so rewarding. And I felt so great. So I would say for at least 2 to 6 weeks or something. 2 to 4 weeks. Make it at least 2, though. You just do hard carbs. Hard 20, and that's it. Then move to net carbs. Get yourself a chance to really get into ketosis, to really get into a fat burning stage before you start monkeying around with it. Then you can go to 20 net carbs. Okay? That's my advice. Because that's what you're going to get results really fast. I was just chatting with a lady online who started it 2 weeks ago. She's lost 23 pounds in 2 weeks. Tell me what other way of eating can make you lose 23 pounds in 2 weeks. And I've done all of them. Okay, I've tried them all. 23 pounds in 2 weeks? Are you kidding me right now? But she dove in 100%, man. She nailed those macros down. She figured out exactly what her protein needed to be, exactly what her fat needed to be. She kept those carbs to 20 or less, and bam, she's knocking it out. But you want to ease into it, okay? This is who this podcast is for. You want to ease into it. You want a way to get into it simply and easily. I don't need a lot of stress in my life. This is overwhelming to me. So that's simple. It's just cut one. Don't worry about protein. Don't worry about fat. Just do one thing. Cut the carbs to 20 or less. That's it. Basically what that's going to mean is you are either going to be eating meat and fat products, and then you will occasionally throw in some vegetables, and they'll be mainly green leafy vegetables. And I would say about 3 or 4 cups a day is max, depending on the vegetable. You're like, well, I don't know what the vegetable... You got Google, don't you? Look, I'm willing to work with you and help you in any way I can. But it's amazing to me how people say, how do I know how many carbs something has in it? How long has Google been around? Seriously. I'm not trying to be condescending, but come on. Help yourself. I'll help you, but you help yourself. Look, you can message me with any question, and I don't ever want you to feel like it's a bad question or a stupid question or a ridiculous question, because there are none. But I didn't know what had a carb in it either. I didn't know. I had no idea what carbs was in what. I had no idea. And I Googled it. How many carbs are in carrots? As a matter of fact, you don't even have to type a sentence. You can just type carrot carbs, and it'll pretty much come up and you can find it. So there's generally several different ways of weighing stuff or measuring stuff, and it's either going to be by volume or by weight. Weight is the most accurate way. If you're looking for an easy way to start it, you're probably not committed enough to buy a kitchen scale yet. But if you are, buy a kitchen scale. Weigh everything. Weigh everything is the only way to know for sure exactly 100% what something weighs, thereby how many carbs it has. But the secondary way is usually measured by a cup. Just be very careful. There's a big difference between a diced cup of onions and a chopped cup of onions and a sliced cup of onions. If you do diced, they're going to be very small, they're going to compact in there, and you're probably going to get 3, 4, 5 times as much as sliced onions in a cup. So make sure when you're searching for, onions, carbs and onions, by the way, you shouldn't really eat any onions for a long time because those are some of the highest carbs. I mean, you can fit them in, but they're basically for flavoring and very little of them. But I'm just using that as an example. But make sure that whatever measurement you're looking at, that's how you cut them. So if you can't find a measurement for sliced onions in a cup of sliced onions, and you can only find a measurement for diced onions. But that's way more onion. Then, find what it is for a cup and divide that by 4, and then you just do a quarter cup of diced onions. That's way off in the weeds from what the podcast is designed to do. I want to give you the one thing to focus on, and I have confidence in you that you can do it. I have confidence in you. Do you have the confidence in yourself is the question. Do you have the wherewithal to pull yourself up and go, I'm going to look up carbs in something before I eat it. I'm going to see how much carbs something has before I put it in my mouth. And then I'm going to add those up throughout the day, and I will not exceed 20 carbs a day. I'm not saying you'll be successful the first day. I wasn't. I think the first week, as a matter of fact, my carbs were in the 30s, and I was trying hard. I just couldn't quite figure it out. Now, I came from a diet that was all carbs. I came to the ketogenic diet over from a whole food, plant-based vegan diet. So I was eating 400, 500 carbs a day. Counting carbs is not on my radar. So it was hard for me. I had to turn things around, and I was very hesitant to eat that much meat and stuff. I mean, it was a big switch for me. It's a big switch. And I think I know at least the first few days I was in the 30s. And then I think I got into the upper 20s, then the lower 20s, and I think by the end of the week, maybe I was hitting around 20. Look, you don't nail it the first day. You don't go, well, crap, I couldn't figure it out. No, the next day you'll be better prepared than you were the day before. And within a few days, you may hit 20 from day one. I mean, you can if you want to. But don't stress out about it. Don't go a day or two and not hit 20 carbs and go, oh, it's just too hard. It's not too hard. Nothing is too hard when you're dying, and that's what's happening. If you're overweight, you have metabolic disease, and it's doing a lot more than putting fat on you. Look, I'm going to end with this. Metabolic syndrome, which is why we all gain the weight and can't lose it, is because something has gone awry with your metabolism. Your insulin levels are through the roof. Your body's converting excess sugar into triglycerides and storing it as fat on your body, and it's causing tons of inflammation, which is ripping up the inside of your arteries. So if you don't have type 2 diabetes yet, you will have. And if you don't have heart disease yet, you will have. If you haven't had a stroke yet, you will have. And the last and least is what they're now calling type 3 diabetes, which is Alzheimer's. You're going to wind up with that probably. One or all of those is in your future. It's not just about the weight. If it was all about the weight, we could all run around and be fat. We might be miserable. We might not be able to climb the stairs, but we'd be fine otherwise. But it's not about that. You're dying. And you're dying at an accelerated rate. If I can be a help, shoot me a message. You can find me online on all the social medias at Fat Guy Podcast. The website is thefatguypodcast.com. And you can shoot me a message via email if you'd like. Fatguy at fatguypodcast.com. Thank you so much for listening. If I can be of help to you, I'd be glad to. Nothing makes me happier than helping people get control of their health because it's so rewarding. It's such a rewarding thing, and I will help you in any way I can. Thanks.